know you started doing music and stuff like that. So how's that going with your music career?
It's going pretty good. Creating the music, at least in terms of it being out there yet. We'll see whether it gets received in a way, hopefully that it gets received. But in terms of doing the product, I'm living in the studio. If you can't find me at home, I'm at a studio.
So what
It's
made
been a lot of freaking music.
what made you even tap into that?
I guess I was always, I did a poetry album in 2001, Mercedes, but it was more to, and I remember Big Daddy Kane saying to me some years ago, oh, your poetry is it's almost at rap, it's kind of got a different kind of rhythm to it than most poets that you see up on stage. I felt that, and I knew I was a strong writer. I was writing songs even when living in LA and broke and trying to figure life out. I would be in the studio with Neo, young Neo, before any of the world knew him. My roommate at the time when I lived in South Central in LA was a rapper from Oklahoma. I always was around music. Like Concepcion, I learned, who he was because of hanging around him in the studio. It came to me naturally in terms of writing songs, and I think I always could hold a note. You would hear, me kind of humming as a kid around the house, but the poetry album in '01, maybe I thought, I could expound upon it and make it a little bit bigger or do something with that, but then acting took off. So by '03, I was in, my first job was Spike Lee's Sucker Free City. So that's in '03. The poetry album was '01, '02. So it never really came out. I sold the poetry album at the little venues, kind of like out of the trunk or whatever.
Like independent and stuff?
Yeah, just kind of. So I think over the years, once you start to get a little bit more control of your time, I feel like I'm losing control of the time now because I've graduated again. With each gradient in life that you step up in, Mercedes, you get back to a place where you lose time. As you had it at one point, you lose it. Now you got to do this interview and that interview and be at this event and do this for this person. But at one point, it had slowed down enough where all I was doing was the work. There wasn't as much press, and I was just able to work. And about season 2 coming out, going into season 3, or perhaps coming out of season 3, going into season 4, which would have been the jail season of Power when I was incarcerated. It was my wife. She said, I don't think you should do a movie during the break this year when Power ends, because we always have a break from March to September. She said, I think you should do music. She was also the one that said, I think you should do that show Power that you're not going to the meeting for.
So you wasn't on New Power at first? Wow. That's literally one of my favorite shows on TV.
I know, I don't know what was going on.
You would have regretted it.
I know. And you shouldn't, yeah, right?
Because I heard your wife, the one told you to be Mary Jane.
She did all that shit.
So what, those are big roles.
But they're big roles in her mind. She kept saying, you got to embrace, your family didn't raise you to pay attention to your aesthetic, to your physical aesthetic. And I wasn't. I was an athlete growing up, and and we still suffer as black people from things that make us hate on each other for very different reasons. A girl like you when I was growing up, because you're very pretty, but you would have been called pretty for dark skin.
Yeah, I still hear that.
So imagine Omari hearing by the time your look on a man was what was cool, then Omari was out, right? I'm out. Michael Jordan made me out. Yeah. My father looks like you. My sister looks like you. So, my mom looks like Jasmine Guy. My older brother looks like Erica behind the camera. So, as you know, black, we're beautiful of everything. What's the problem? We got so many problems, so many issues. So growing up, for me, I think the aesthetic was so buried, right? There's a lot of depth. There's a poet, but I'm an athlete, and I'm edgy, and so there's so many colors to me that I think I ran into the colors as opposed to the basic shallow thing of oh, he's good looking. That's shallow to me. I can't affect my looks.
Yeah.
You could lose your face on a motorcycle accident. So I ran away from it. And Jay, being a publicist, she was real big on you need the female contingent. You need the fan base that's female to graduate to all the different roles you want to do.
Yeah.
And sorry, sex sells. It was her.
Yeah.
So she being a publicist pushed that. A hella secure woman. She is extremely secure. So she just went, go, run. I mean, it can't be easy to watch somebody that you care about doing sex scenes, but she's pretty freaking good at it. So I think in terms of the music and all of those things, Jay just knew all the colors. And now do a children's book, because I write children's books. So she'd be like, do the children's book. Oh yeah, I should do that, huh? Yeah, do it. Now do movies again, because you did the music. But the problem was, I got so addicted to the music that last year during Sorry to Bother You, during A Boy, Girl, A Dream with Megan, who I've known since Megan was 16, right? So Tari and Kasim, these friends of mine, Jay Ellis, and then I did this movie with it was about war, I guess, you know, but more so about like post-war traumatic syndrome. And it was a really beautiful piece. But when I did that, it was the same thing. There's 3 movies now, but the music never stopped.
So, what
she
do you
unleashed
want?
the monster.
Do you eventually want to take music
It's
serious?
coming all out.
When is it coming out?
It's coming. It's crazy. If I play some of that for you now, I would hope that you would be like, Omar, this is stupid.
So what kind of vibes will we get when we listen to your music?
You'll get a little bit of the spoken word, but you'll get some MC. You'll get a little bit more of, you know, it would be blasphemous to say MC, but you know, you get Dave East and Big Daddy Kane and 50 Cent. You know, 50 Plus O came out. You heard me rapping on that one, so that's with Curtis. So Fab.
So you have a lot of collaborations.
Oh, everybody. Melanie Fiona, Wale, Layla Hathaway, Method Man, Anthony Hamilton, Tank. It's a lot of Josiah Bell, Raphael Sadiq.
It sounds like a lot of people gonna be on this new music.
It's a lot of people. Eric Roberson. There's so many incredible artists from South Africa. This incredible producer Gobbler, who I got from Nasty C, who's a South African rapper. Like, it's just unlimited. Daddy, Tattoo, this guy Rush, Rotimi Akanosha, who plays Dre. Like, a lot of people really believed in me enough. Common's only out with so many people.
Yeah.
So I'm so humbled that these legends were like, and these legends in the making. Jacob Banks, who eventually Courtney put his music on Power. Jacob returned the favor after being on Power, and he gave me like three songs. So I think it's interesting. I think it's a very, very cool vibe. I hope the world at least gives an ear to it. I don't need you to go crazy about it, but at least give an ear to it.
What can we expect from this new season of Power?
Everything.
What's everything?
Mayhem.
Give
Crashing.
me a little something.
Like the sound of the glass breaking on the table. I'm trying to crack Erica behind the camera. It's not working. I'm trying to make the camera shake, and she's holding court. Well, Courtney created, as you know, the end of season 4 is a lot like the other seasons, where she ends off and then she picks up in terms of the writer's room and what you know, Courtney and the writer's room have created. We pick off where we left off. So we pick up, where we left off. So he lost a daughter, and Notori Naughton's Tasha lost a daughter. And
This season is
Joseph
revenge.
Shakur, Tommy lost a nephew. A niece. Right?
Yeah.
It's revenge and betrayal and loyalty and loyalty to what, and who's really loyal, and Kanan's back, and
Because
what
from
does
the
that
preview,
mean?
it looked like they like collabing together.
We're back. We need help from each other. We need help hunting down the wrongdoers, and Ghost is so arrogant and narcissistic that at this point, which narcissism is a really bad level of arrogance, it's the highest level. At this point, he can't blame anyone. He can't blame himself for what happened to his family. He blames everybody else. So you're watching him unravel, because a man unravels until a man falls upon his knees and says, "Okay, God, I messed up." A man just unravels. When have you known that to be different? No grandpapa that you knew, no uncle, no father that you knew was able to go to sleep at night with knowing that they done wrong. They might act like they're sleeping at night, but there's some crazy stuff going on in their brain. So Ghost is at that place of like not facing his demons, and maybe his worst demon is himself. Season 5 is really about him having to face his shit, which he hasn't necessarily faced prior to season 5.
Well, I'm definitely gonna be tuned in.
Thank you for
because
tuning in.
I love the show.
Thank you for tuning in.
And thanks for speaking
Thank
with
you,
us.
fans.